Like it or note it, office politics is one of those life realities that nobody tells us anything about before we get into the workforce. But it's a fact of life. It's existing in every organization, literally. Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about the different types of office politicians, how to handle them, and how to use office politics to achieve your goal without compromising your values or that of your organization. What I did was throw this topic open on my Instagram handle and let people send me private messages about their office politics experience. The reason why I did that is because I didn't want us to just discuss only on my small experience with office politics. I wanted us to discuss other people's experiences with office politics. So in general, I got 7 messages, but I picked just 3 because I don't want to make this video too long. And if you're not following me on Instagram, you should consider following me on Instagram because that is where all the chit chat goes down. You don't want to miss that. So I got some messages, and what we're going to do today is I'm going to read out each message from each sender, and then we're going to try to figure out what kind of office politician that is and how to stay ahead of the game when you have such an office politician in your office. So let's go. So the first one here is from Choma. She said, "This happened to me early last year, few months into my first job as a sales representative at ... Please, we are not mentioning company names here. Fumi was a know-it-all when it comes to what is happening around the office and isn't afraid to share every last detail with anybody willing to listen. She loves spilling secrets. My first day at work, she was so nice and we became friends immediately, only to have a major confrontation from another co-worker 5 weeks down the line over what Fumi told her that I said about her, which I never did." Is it just me, or do you feel like these office gossip queens and kings are like strategically put in different offices? Like almost every organization has that person, 1 or 2 people that just love gist. They love gossip. They're always talking about people's cases or things like that. Like, it's as if they exist in every organization. And I always encourage people not to be so quick to make friends immediately you resume at your new place of work. You need to take 1 or 2 weeks and observe the workplace. Find out who are the decision makers, the influencers, who are the important people that in each department, and then decide who you want to be friends with and who you don't want to be so close to. And the workplace is not a place where you come and have confidence and people that you talk about things related to your life. Secondly, try as much as possible to stay neutral in every discussion that is outside of the professional context. If, for example, 2 departments are going against each other or 2 people are going against each other, just stay as neutral as possible. If someone brings up a topic that is outside of the professional context, stay neutral and try to change that topic as fast as possible. For an example, if someone makes a remark like, "Oh my God, I can't stand the marketing team, they are so bad at their job," or something like that, try not to drop any comments when someone says a thing like that. You either stay neutral, or even if you want to respond back, you can always say things like, "Do you think there's anything like that the marketing team can undergo that will help them get better at their job?" Even if you know that the marketing team guys are so bad at their job, just don't make any comments. Stay as neutral as possible. Dio, right? Okay, yeah, from Dio. Then he said, "I worked my ass off chasing a client for more than 5 months, only for me to land the deal and had my team leader take all the credit about that job. That thing pained me for weeks, like I stare at him every day, scheming on ways I can hurt him." Okay, wow, that would be so painful. That would be so painful. Like, what? Whew. some offices just have low lives like this. Like, they will do anything to get ahead. This kind of people, I don't even think you should waste your time trying to talk your way with them, because they know exactly what they're doing. My advice when you have such a person in your office is, one, try as much as possible to always speak up about your views, your ideas, or what you're working on in front of your co-workers. And whenever you have the opportunity, give your boss an update concerning deals or clients that you're chasing. In that way, they don't get confused on who to give reward for what work. Coming from Becky, resumed at my first job on 2nd September 2019 and had a straight up hater. Oh, hater. I had a hater too one time. I tried everything to get through to her, all to no avail. At some point, I didn't bother myself about her anymore until we were put in the same team, and this lady made my work life a living hell. From openly criticizing me unnecessarily to always shifting her mistakes and sabotaging my entire hard work. Okay, I had a hater once, but well, maybe because we weren't put in the same team. So there are people like this in the offices, and I don't know if it's just me, but I find this very common with the female counterparts. You just resume work, and for no reason, this person just hates you, really. Like, we've not met before. We did not go to the same secondary school. Do you know me from your dream? What is your problem? Like, she just hates you. I came to understand that sometimes it's just for a very silly reason. It might be because you dress so well and she feels threatened about the way you dress. Because you're a pretty girl, she feels you're prettier than her. Or maybe the way you carry yourself, or you're so good at your job, or just something very irrelevant. And the bad thing about them is that they don't just hate you and stay on their own lane. They hate you and they try as much as possible to use every situation to show you that they hate you. When you have such a person, you have to keep your guards up. I mean, if you have a hater, whether in your workplace, where you live, anywhere, you have to just keep your guards up as much as possible, because they just have a very weird way of thinking. Someone dresses nice, you can draw close to the person and then have to dress that way, but no, they rather fight that thing that they feel is good about you or something like that. So when you have a hater like this in your workplace, I know of two things that can actually help. One is not that professional, and that is confrontation. Confrontation sometimes solves the issues with the haters, because haters are just an indirect coward. Whenever you confront them, it can cut off that whole thing that they're putting up towards you. But sometimes the confrontation is not that professional. But I don't know. Sometimes the unprofessional way kind of gets the job done sometimes. But please don't do that. Or if there is anything like a professional confrontation, there should be something like a professional confrontation, right? Okay, if there's anything like that, then please have a professional confrontation with the hater. That is like, I don't know why you hate me. Have we met anywhere before? Did I do anything to you? Did I take your husband or your family or whatever? Well, if you're going to keep hating me, you might as well as put your head down, because I am not leaving this job for you. If there's anybody leaving this job, it's you. So, okay, it's still kind of out of the professional way. I don't know. Well, maybe you can research on professional confrontations that you can use, right? So, confrontations sometimes help. The second one may be your best go-to option, because it's professional and it kind of nips them at the bud, which is documentation. When you have such a person against you in the office, you have to do a lot of work, a lot of documentation. You have to do a lot of documentation, like document things like what was agreed upon, who suggested what, whose idea was this, what we concluded at the end of the meeting, even go to the extent of recording things, because when you have documentation, then you can stay ahead of these people. They will always try to turn things upside down and say this is not what was said, or try to jeopardize your work, or try to steal your ideas, or things like that, or turn things against you. And if you don't have any documentation, then it will end up being your word against her word, and that's what she's looking for. And she's going to win you because she's good at that game. So, but whenever she does that, and you pull out your pad where you already jotted the fact that, okay, this was what was agreed on, and this is who suggested this, and this is what we agreed on, the meeting ended by so and so time, then that just knocks her off board, really. So you have to actually document as much as possible to stay ahead of the game. But if your documentation doesn't work, just confront that. Don't tell anybody I said that. Enough of bad office politics now. So let's talk about how you can use office politics to promote your goals without jeopardizing any value. So when I don't know what your career goal is, it can be to get promoted to a certain level, it can be to rise to a certain position. Whatever your career goal is, you need to actually set it. Map it out, make a clear note of what it is. If you want to put a time into it, fine, because that is the whole essence of the goal. But make it known. Now, when your career goal is known, the next thing that you need to do is you need to observe the office. Observe who are the decision makers in that office. Now, once you figure out who are the decision makers in the office, you need to find out who are the influencers of the decision makers. Who are the people that influence the decision makers? When you identify the people that are the influencers, that influence the decision makers, then you need to figure out what messages do you need to pass to the influencers. That way it can get to the decision makers. Don't ever try to go straight to make yourself visible to the decision makers. That would just be so shabby, and everybody will know that that is what you're heading towards. So identify the decision makers, identify the people that influence the decision makers, then figure out the message that you need to pass, that needs to be passed. That is, what message are the influencers looking for? Every company has what they are looking for. Maybe they need somebody to show some strong leadership skill in a certain task, or all those tasks. Once you figured out the message that you need to pass to the influencers, then you need to look out for opportunities that can help you pass that message. So if you see all those, there's a task that people are shying away from taking because they might seem maybe too cumbersome, but you know that task is going to show your leadership skill or your ability to coordinate, and you know that is the message they are looking for, you may consider taking up that task. Don't just take up the task, but do the task extremely well. That way, when it is time for them to make a decision on who takes that position, your influencers will speak up for you. So your influencers are the people that you actually need to be close to in an organization. Not all these other people that we just listed. No, these guys are not going to get you nowhere. With this, you can actually achieve your goal smoothly without anybody even knowing that it was masterminded. Meanwhile, you actually planned it, you actually thought over it, you actually played that politics smoothly in order to achieve your aim. Thank you for watching today, and if you're not subscribed, you should consider subscribing. Do you know why? Because next week we're talking about a topic that is not as serious as the topics that we've been talking about, like career and stuff. Next week we're talking about something that has to do with the relationship life, and it's titled Dating a Young Guy versus an Older Guy. It's a topic no girl wants to miss and no guy wants to miss, because we all need to know, and it's bringing you deep insider details. So subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, and please drop your comments below. I want to equally know your own experience with office politics and how you handled it. So until then, don't forget to keep it simple, keep it honest, and keep it real.